but we rarely talk about what exactly specifically happened to Hazaras in that period. And I want to bring in Mr. Alizada to tell us what specific atrocities were committed against the Hazaras during this period.
Well, thank you. It's an honor for me to be part of this discussion and to share a panel with Dr. Saif Ibrahimi, from whom I have learned a lot, both from speaking to him and also from reading his extensive works on the Hazaras and on the situation in Afghanistan generally. Um, the question is big, and I think it's very difficult to go into a lot of details, but I'll try to provide some categories of the crimes that were perpetrated against the Hazaras during those 2 or 3 years. Um, some of these also actually went on for quite a long time after the war was concluded. Well, the first thing that's very important is the mass dehumanization. Um, the text of the declaration of war against Hazaras that declares them as infidels and irreligious people uh, basically just tries to say that the Hazaras are worthy of only death and enslavement. Um, I'll read parts of this declaration, which is, I think, very helpful in trying to trying to understand why all of the atrocities that were happening against the Hazaras really were happening. This is a translation by Dr. Robert McChesney from Persian. Parts of that reads, in order to extirpate these irreligious people so that not a trace of them remains in those places and throughout the mountains, and their properties be distributed among the Ghiljai and Durrani tribes, the royal court has approved as its policy that a triumphant army made up of regular and tribal forces from every part of the kingdom of the God-given government should descend upon the soil of the rebel tribes of Hazarajat, so that not a soul, this is very important, not a soul of those wayward tribes be safe nor escape, and that the boys and girls be taken captive and made slaves by every member of the tribes of the Mujahideen of Afghanistan. Therefore, there will be a system of conscription imposed on the tribes of Afghanistan, which will be detailed in individual proclamations. And another part of this reads, they means the soldiers, they should consider it impermissible to show any restraint in killing, plundering, and making captives of the Hazaras, and not to be misled by these people's deceptions. They are to seize all of the weapons of those who have not rebelled and destroy their forts. They are not to leave a single person alive of those who had mutinied and raised their hands against the government. Should that prove difficult, they should so report, so that His mighty Majesty himself will march with victorious banners flying in that direction, bringing utter ruin to the affairs of the evildoers, and leave no person in that country. And by the issuance of this farman, this is the words of Khatib, actually, Faiz Muhammad Khatib, the wise of the world should know that whatever happens to that evil tribe, whatever of the structure of their existence is cast to the wind, and in whosoever's house their widows and orphans wind up. This is part of that farman. That's a very long farman, actually. Um, that that uh, that provides the basis for this coordinated attack against the Hazaras, which is in every way genocidal. Another thing that's important here is, the rape and atrocities that were committed against women. This was happening both before the start of the war against the Hazaras and during the war and even after the war. A third, crime, which is important to highlight, is killing on massive scale. Um, in some reports and some accounts, uh, it's recorded that pyramids of skulls were erected and eyes were gouged and people were skinned alive and all of those atrocities. But so many people lost their lives. Now, we do not know exactly how many people lost their lives, but some estimations show that in some places, as many as 90% of the population were either killed or displaced or sold into slavery. According to Khatib, for instance, in some cases, only 10% of the population were remaining in their place after the war. Another one was mass displacement and enslavement, which was also very huge and massive. In terms of loss of land, for example, it says that some of the sources say that like nearly half of the land of the Hazaras were taken away from them and then distributed to Pashtun tribes, including some Kuchi tribes who had helped the government in the campaign against the Hazaras. The enslavement was also very broad, and tens of thousands of the Hazaras were sold into slavery. Khatib in some places say that there was not a single household in the country who did not have a man or a woman of Hazara as a slave after the war. Another one was taking prisoners of war who were killed, in some cases tortured and exploited in prisons in different places, including Kabul. Land dispossession and demographic engineering, because land was taken away from the Hazaras and then it was given to Pashtun tribes in Uruzgan and in so many other places, particularly Uruzgan, Ajaristan, and Daifulat. And restrictions of means of livelihood. There are reports that the soldiers, they destroyed houses, they even destroyed the trees, as means of livelihood for the local Hazaras in those places. And forced conversion to Sunni Islam and banning the Hazaras from practicing their faith. These were some of the categories of crimes that happened to the Hazaras. During those 2 years, between 1992 and 1993, and also most of these continued to happen afterwards for quite a long time.
Thank you. In your response, you refer to Farman. For those who can't speak Farsi, is that an order or declaration? Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, well, basically, it's a declaration. Yeah, it's an official declaration sanctioned by religion. So here it's both of political, meaning that it's officially from the government, but it's also religious, meaning that it comes from a religious authority. So it has religious sanction and also political sanction.